Hey guys, welcome to Learn Today IGCSE. This is a tutorial video for Physics Paper 2, Variant 2 for May June 2023 examinations. This video is going to be a little bit more casual than our usual Paper 4 and 6. Question 1. Forces of 3 Newton and 4 Newton act at right angles as shown. Question wants you to find the resultant force. If you have two forces acting here at a right angle, using the method of parallelogram, you will get your resultant force from this angle to this angle. So this will be the direction of your resultant force, meaning that it's along OY. And as for the magnitude, we can use the trigonometry rule, giving us OY, the square root of 25, which is 5 newtons. So your answer is C. Question 2. A light ball is held at rest at the top of a tall cliff. It is released and falls through the air, eventually reaching its terminal velocity. Terminal velocity means your acceleration is 0 because your air resistance is equal to its weight, which rule describes the behavior of the ball as it descends. Initially, the acceleration of the ball would be the gravitational acceleration, which is 9.8. So this could be your options. And when it reaches terminal velocity, it means that your weight is equal to air resistance and your acceleration is 0. So your answer is C. Question 3. The graph represents the motion of a car. Speed time graph gives you acceleration. How far has the car moved between 0 and 5 seconds? Now, to find the distance for a speed time graph, you just need to find the area below the graph from 0 to 5 seconds, and that would be the area of a triangle, so 1/2 times 5, which is the base, over the height, which is 10, giving us 25 meters. Question 4. Which statement about mass or weight is not correct? Masses can be compared using a balance is correct. Mass is not a force. Mass is the quantity of matter in an object. Weights can be compared using a balance is correct, and weight is indeed a force. So your answer is B. Question 5. A sphere P made of steel has a weight of 10 Newton on Earth. Another sphere Q, also made of steel, has a weight of 10 Newton on Mars. The gravitational field strength on Earth is greater than the gravitational field strength on Mars. Which statement is correct? We know that weight is the product of mass times gravity, and they mentioned here that the gravity on Earth is higher compared to the gravity field strength on Mars, which is lower. But both of them has the weight of 10. So let's say if the gravity here is 5 and the gravity on Mars here is 2, which is lower than Earth. In order to get the weight of 10 newtons, your mass has to be 2 because 2 times 5 is 10. And to get the weight of 10 over here, your mass has to be 5 times 2. Okay, this is just an assumption. Now let's use these values to check which statement is correct. A says that the mass of sphere P is the same as the mass of sphere Q. Well, that cannot be right. The mass of sphere P is less than the mass of sphere Q. Yes, P is 2 and Q is 5. So the answer is B. Question 6. Which two quantities must be known to determine the density of a material? The formula for density is mass over volume, so your answer here would be B. Question 7. A truck is towing a car along a straight horizontal road at a constant speed. So constant speed tells us that the driving force of the truck is equal to its drag force, which is the car pulling it backwards. It says that the rope breaks, which rope gives the direction of the initial acceleration of the truck after the rope breaks and the reason for this acceleration. Now, after the rope breaks, the truck will move forward with a certain acceleration, and the reason is because now the resistive force no longer exists. So the direction of the truck is on the right, and the reason for this would be because the driving force is now greater than the resistive force, which was the car. So your answer is C. Question 8. A uniform beam is pivoted at the center and two identical masses X and Y are placed so that the beam balances. A smaller mass is then added at the position shown. How can the masses be positioned so that the beam balances again? This question is related to moment And for this to be balanced, the clockwise direction has to be equal to the anti-clockwise direction. And you can do that by calculating the force and distance for the force applied at x, let's say is 10, multiply with the distance over here, which is 5, must be equal to the force applied here, which is also 10, as they are identical masses, and the distance has to be same, which is 5. Therefore, you have 50 equals to 50. Then they could be balanced. But now that you have added a small mass over this side, so your force here has now increased. Therefore, your distance have to decrease. So, how can the masses be positioned so that the beam balances again? Well, we have to reduce the distance, meaning that we can move x towards the pivot. So, your answer is B. Question 9. A resultant force of 2 Newton acts on an object of mass 3 kg for 6 seconds. What is the change in velocity of the object? So we have got here the force, mass, time, and we're looking for the change of velocity. A formula related to this would be your impulse. We know that impulse is the change of momentum. Impulse can be calculated by Ft or mv minus mu. So the force here is 2 newtons, time is 6, m is 3 kg, and the change of velocity is what we're looking for over here. So the change of velocity could also be written like this, whereby it is 12 divided by 3, and the answer is 4 meters per second. Next, question 10. The diagram shows the energy stores for a mobile cell phone and how the energy is transferred between stores. What describes how the chemical energy is transformed? So the chemical energy here is for a mobile phone store, therefore it is then converted to internal and kinetic for heat and sound, therefore it should be the electrical work done. Question 11. A wind turbine is 30% efficient and has an output of 2.5 megawatts of electrical power. What is the power input to the turbine? So this question is related to efficiency, and we know that efficiency is the power output over power input times 100%. And we know that our efficiency here is 30%. Power output was already given 2.5 times 10 to the power of 6 over power input times 100%. After rearranging this, you will get a value of power input of 8.3 times 10 to the power of 6 watts, which is B. Next question, 12. Which two physical quantities must be used to calculate the power developed by a student running up a flight of steps? Alright, according to your course specification, if you go check the definition of power, it is work done per unit time. So the answer here would be work done and time, D. Question 13. The density of a seawater is 1030 kg per meter cube. The gravitational field strength on Earth is 9.8 newtons per kilogram. Atmospheric pressure is 101,000 pascals. The question is, at which depth in seawater the total pressure due to the atmosphere and the water equal to 513,000 pascal. So the atmospheric pressure is already given, which is 101 kilopascal, and the total pressure is also given, which is 513 kilopascal. From here, we can find the pressure underwater by doing this. 101 giving us 412 kilopascals. So the pressure underwater is 412 kilopascals. To find pressure underwater, we can use the formula H rho g. We found that the pressure underwater is 412,000. We're going to look for H. Density is given 1030 and G is 9.8. Rearrange this and you will get a value of 40.82 meters. So your answer is A. Question 14. 4 students describe the phrase absolute zero during a lesson on the particle model. Which student is correct? Again, refer to your course specification. Under your kinetic particle model, you will see that absolute zero meaning that this is the lowest possible temperature existing, and this is when the particles have the least kinetic energy. So this is the possible lowest temperature, correct? Particles in solids start vibrating. No. Particles do not have weight is also wrong because weight is mass times gravity and both of these exist. Particles have the least gravitational potential energy is also wrong because you're supposed to say kinetic energy over here. So the answer is A. Question 15. 4 students are asked to state and explain the relative magnitudes of the thermal expansion of solids and gases. Which student is correct? Gases expand more than solids because the molecules in the gas are in random motion. This is correct, they do expand more, but the reason is wrong because the reason they expand is due to its weak intermolecular force. B. Gases expand more than solids because the attractive forces between molecules are much weaker in gases. This is correct. Solid expand more than gases is wrong. Solid expand more than gases is again wrong. Question 16. 4 cups A, B, C, D contain hot coffee. Which cup keeps the coffee warm the longest? Now let's say you have coffee in a cup. You're going to need the kind of surface that does not release the heat easily. So a black surface is a very good absorber and emitter of heat. And for the top of the cup, of course, you gotta keep it covered so that this will prevent the heat loss. So your answer here would be A. Remember that white is a good reflector of heat. Question 17. The diagram shows a wave. What are the amplitude and wavelength of this wave? Amplitude is from the middle to the most top. So there's this and these are all amplitudes. And the answer is 3 centimeter. And for wavelength, it could be from this point to this point, or this point to this point, or even from this point to this point. So the answer would be 8 centimeters. So this is B. Question 18. Optical fibers are used to transmit digital signals using infrared radiation. The average refractive index of the fiber is 1.5. Which row describes a digital signal and gives the speed of infrared radiation in the fibers? Okay, a digital signal consists of only 2 values, and a signal that consists of continuous range is an analog signal. Now let's find the speed of infrared radiation. Since we are already been given the refractive index, we can use this to calculate the speed of infrared radiation. N is 1.5 and C is the speed of light, which is 3 times 10 to the power of 8. And you will get the speed by dividing speed of light with refractive index, giving you 2 times 10 to the power of 8. So the answer is A. Question 19. Which statement describes monochromatic light? Under Chapter 3 Light, if you go to dispersion of light, you will see that visible light of single frequency is described as monochromatic. So monochromatic is light of a single frequency. Question 20. A beam of light consists of yellow and blue light. The beam of light is incident on a glass prism. Which diagram is correct? Okay, for this kind of question, you need to know how the light bends, and you also need to know the order of the color from red to purple because they bend differently. So you have yellow over here and then blue bends more than yellow. Over here D, you have yellow at the top and blue bends more, so the answer is D. Answer of A is wrong because the lights are going upwards. Also this is the case, so it's wrong. Over here this is also wrong because blue bends more, therefore the answer is D. Question 21. A radio station broadcasts a signal with a frequency of 89 MHz. What is the wavelength of this signal? Okay, using our formula of speed equals to frequency times wavelength, we can get our wavelength, which is lambda. The speed is the speed of light, which is a fixed value 3 times 10 to the power of 8. Make sure you remember this value equals to 89 times 10 to the power of 6 Hz and lambda. So rearrange these to get your lambda and you will get the value of 3.4 meters. Question 22. A boy shouts and hears the echo from a tall building 2.2 seconds later. The speed of sound in air is 330 meters per second. How far away from the boy is the building? So they're looking to find the distance. For questions relating to echo and speed of sound, you can use the formula speed equals to distance over time. So the speed here is 330 meters per second. You're looking to find distance and the time is 2.2. So you will get distance is 726 meters. However, pay attention that this is an echo. So when the boy shouts, the sound travels in this direction, this far, and then the echo means that the sound returned, meaning that the sound has practically traveled this and then this, a total of 726 meters. So the distance for the boy from the building is 726 meters divided by 2. So your answer is 360 meters. Question 23. The magnetic field of a bar magnet can be represented by magnetic lines. Which diagram shows two magnetic field lines correctly? So remember that magnetic lines flow such that it goes from north into south. So this is your magnetic field lines, and the answer would be going out of north and into south. So the answer is A. Question 24. A plastic rod is rubbed by a dry cloth. The rod becomes positively charged. Why has the rod become positively charged? Okay, so every object has equal numbers of positive and negative electrons if they are neutral. When this rod here was rubbed, it has become positively charged, meaning that the negative ions or the electrons have left the plastic rod. So it has lost electrons. Your answer is C. Question 25. Which statement about electric current in a conductor is correct? In a DC current, the electric current gradually decreases along the conductor. Not true. In a DC current, the free electrons flow back and forth. Not true. It's only one way. In an AC current, the electric current remains exactly the same all the time. No. In an AC circuit, the flow of charge changes direction continually. Yes, correct. So the answer is D. Question 26. A piece of metal wire X with a uniform diameter has resistance R. So this is your diameter and the resistance is R. The second piece of wire Y is made of the same metal and has a uniform diameter. It means that the diameter is same along the whole wire. But Y has double the cross-sectional area, meaning that this is now 2D of X and half the length of X. Okay, so if this is the length here now is over 2. Question wants you to find the resistance of Y. Okay, remember that resistance is dependent on the length and the area. The longer the length, the higher the resistance. And as for area, the cross-sectional area, the bigger it is, the lesser the resistance, which is a good thing. So since your length here has been reduced to half, this means that the resistance now has also been reduced to half. And now the diameter here has become double the size, meaning that your resistance will also now decrease to half. So the total resistance now would be 4 times lesser than the original wire X. So your answer is R divided by 4. Question 27. An electric fire is connected to a 240 volt supply and transfers energy at a rate of 1.0 kilowatts. How much charge passes through the fire in 1 hour? Okay, so we have got voltage, power, time. We're looking for charge with this Q. So let's see what formula we can use. The formula of Q is I times T, but we do not have I. However, we have power and voltage, and we know that power equals to voltage times current. So we can find current and substitute it into this formula. So the current is power divided by voltage, which is 240, giving us 4.17 amperes. So now I can substitute it into this formula, 4.17 amperes times with time. That has to be converted into seconds. So 1 hour is 3,600 seconds, giving me 15,000 coulombs. So your answer would be C. Next, question 28. 2 lamps are connected in parallel, which switches must be closed so that both the lamps light. So you have the current, conventional current flowing in this direction. This has to be closed. and then the current has to flow in this both direction, so this one has to be closed. And then when the current returns, this has to be closed as well, so that the circuit is complete. So looks like all the switches has to be closed. Your answer is D. Question 29. The diagram shows a circuit that switches on a lamp when there is a change in the environment. Which change in the environment causes the lamp to be switched on? Okay, this is pretty simple. You have here the symbol of a thermistor. And a thermistor works as when the temperature increases, the resistance will decrease. So this means that the change of environment here would be the temperature, and it will be switched on when your temperature increases. So the answer is D. Question 30. A step-down transformer is 100% efficient. This means that P input is equals to P output. It has an input voltage of 240 voltage AC and an output voltage of 60 voltage. The current in the primary coil is 0.5 amperes. What is the current in the secondary coil? Okay, this is some calculation. Power is current times voltage equals to current times voltage. Current in primary is 0.5 times primary voltage is 240 equal to secondary current which you're looking for, and secondary voltage is 60. So the secondary current would be 2 amperes. Answer is C. Next, question 31. The diagram shows the pattern of the magnetic field due to the current I in a straight wire. So the current is flowing in this direction downwards. Which row is correct? Okay, to know this, you must apply the right-hand grip rule. Since the current is flowing downwards, make sure that your thumb is also flowing downwards. And as for the direction of the field, you have to follow the curvature of your finger, which is this direction. So your arrow should be Y. And for the relative strength of the field, the closer they are to the current flow, the stronger they are, meaning that Q is greater than P. So the answer is D. Next, question 32. In which device is the magnetic field of a current not used? So you use magnetic effect in electromagnet, loudspeaker and relay, but not a potential divider. Question 33. Fission and fusion are two types of nuclear processes. Fission is when you have a nuclide split into two, and fusion is when you have two hydrogen atoms that fuses together to become helium and only happens in the sun. Okay, how does the total mass of the nuclides produced compare with the total mass of the original nuclide or nuclides in the nuclear processes? Okay, for nuclear fission, the total mass before is larger than the total mass after. So total mass of product would be lesser, this one. And for fusion, you should know that they will create a larger nuclei, which results in the loss of mass from smaller nuclei. Therefore, the mass before is actually more than the mass after. So the mass of the product is lesser. So your answer is D. Question 34. The table shows the composition of three different nuclei. Which nuclei are isotopes of the same element? Isotopes means you have the same proton number but different nucleon number. Same proton number but different neutrons or nucleon number. So it will be X and Y. Answer is B. Question 35. Which change occurs in the nucleus of a radioactive atom during beta emission? Now, what happens when a nucleus emits a beta particle? The neutron would turn into a proton and electron. So the answer here would be A. Make sure you know all the changes that occurs in the nucleus during a alpha emission, beta emission, and gamma emission. You can watch my video on chapter 5 to do some recap about this. Next, question 36. A radioactive isotope has a half-life of 8 days. A detector close to a sample of this isotope gives a count rate of 200 counts per minute. Without the source, the background count is 20 counts per minute. What is the count rate due to the source after 8 days? Remember, your step 1 is always to remove your background radiation. So you have got 200 at the detector minus your background, which is 20, giving you 100 counts per minute. So after one half-life, which is 8 days, the count rate will reduce to 90 counts per minute. So after 8 days, it would be 90 counts per minute. Your answer is B. Next question, 37. Which statement about the solar system is correct? All planets are rocky. Not true because some planets are gases. Only the Earth has moon. Not true. Every planet has their own moon. Pluto is a dwarf planet. Correct. There are many suns in the solar system. Wrong. The only star is the sun. So answer is C. Question 38. Comets are bodies which orbit the sun in the solar system. What is the shape of the orbit and how is the sun positioned within the orbit? Now the shape of the orbit is not entirely circle. This is called elliptical. And the sun is also not at the center of the orbit. So the answer is D. Question 39. Which nuclear reaction produces the release of energy to power a star? Okay, only in a star you can achieve a very high temperature for nuclear fusion to take place. Nuclear fusion is when you have two hydrogen atoms fused together to form a helium atom. So nuclear fusion, hydrogen into helium. Answer is D. Next, the last question. What is the definition of Hubble constant? In your course specification under 6.2, you would see that Hubble constant is the ratio of the speed at which the galaxy is moving away from the Earth to the distance from the Earth. And this is your formula. So the answer is the ratio of the speed at which a galaxy is receding, meaning moving away from the Earth, to its distance from the Earth. Answer is A. Alright, that's all for this video. For the next video, please let me know in the comments if you would like Paper 2 Variant 1 or Paper 2 Variant 3 from May-June 2023 examinations. Thank you. Bye-bye.